Welcome back to the She Suite Society, the podcast where we celebrate the real, the raw, and the remarkable journeys of women who chose to bet on themselves. I'm your host and empowerment Sherpa, Dahlia, and today's guest is someone who, after losing the most important person in her world, did something most people only dream about. She bought a one-way ticket and left. Amanda Black is the founder of Sophie, a travel community built specifically for solo female travelers. But this is not a story about wanderlust. It's a story about grief, about reinvention, and about what happens when you stop shrinking yourself for other people's comfort and start building a life that is entirely, unapologetically yours. From backpacking through Central America alone, to a TEDx stage, to leading women on transformational group trips around the world, Amanda's path has been anything but conventional, and every twist in it makes complete sense when you hear where it all started. This conversation went deep fast. I think you're going to feel that. Let's get into it. You lost your mom.
Yeah.
When did you lose your mom?
10 years ago.
No way.
Yeah, why?
I also lost mine 10 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
2016
sorry.
is quite a year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, mine was I guess mine was 2015 and it was a year at the end of last year. But yeah, same. I mean, yeah, awful. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry for you too. It's because it sounds like from what I saw, I guess correct me too if I'm wrong, because I'm not here to tell your story. You're here to tell your story. But that was also your person, your lifeline, your
Oh,
phone
for
call.
sure. Mhm.
And when you lose that person, it completely changes your outlook on life. I want as a whole and what our and the meaning of it, I feel like. And you did something quite spectacular with yours. I want to hear about your journey, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't like she died and I was like, I'm gonna start a business. It was more like she died and I didn't think a lot, actually. I was just sort of in a very confused, very grief-stricken state, and I just kinda decided that I was gonna do whatever I wanted. Like, there were s you know, my mom was my best friend, biggest supporter, cheerleader. I would give anything to have had her longer. But, because she was my mom and she loved me so much, she did worry about me a lot. And I knew that I wanted to be like a big traveler, but she was really scared of that. So I would pick what I did very carefully, and because I didn't want her to be too worried and upset, right? So, when she died, I basically disregarded all of her wishes and I did exactly what I wanted.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. I think that there are few people that can understand the actual meaning of the word bittersweet. Few
Mhm.
people, because it's like I would give anything to be able to call that woman one more time, just
Mhm.
to hear her voice one more time, just to go and sit with her, just have lunch, do whatever, fart around. That's what we used to do anyway.
Mhm.
One more time. However, I know with every ounce of my being, if she were alive right now, she would have disagreed with like 8 million of the choices I've made since. But I feel like in this state, you're able to live with her still there, but authentically you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's a unique relationship when your mom not everyone gets a mom who loves them to bits
I
and
know.
sacrifices everything, for you. And so I think that like bittersweet is a good way to put it, but I would say it's like 99% bitter and 1% sweet, you know?
Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah. I
Hands
mean,
down.
you have to find the silver lining. Otherwise, your own grief will kill you. Like,
100%.
yeah.
That grief is consuming. And that's why I think it's so beautiful in the way that you transformed yours. You pay it forward now for not only yourself, but everybody else. Tell me about the traveling that you're doing and what you're doing for other women everywhere.
When my mom died, I bought a one-way ticket to, Honduras.
Love
So,
that so
um,
much.
and then I backpacked around Central America, and most of it was awesome and safe, like safe, and but you are more vulnerable as a woman traveling alone, especially as a woman traveling alone with a small budget. And some things happened, and my last straw was when I was traveling, and my hotel room or my hostel room kind of got broken into, and everything was stolen. So I just sort of remember I had just gotten there, so I didn't really have any friends yet. Like I hadn't met anyone who like as like a desperate resort I could really turn to. And the people who I kind of knew, I did not trust. And so anyway, I just remember standing in the street thinking to myself, "What in the world am I gonna do?" But I was in a like a touristy town, and I knew that there were women nearby, locals, travelers, who would help me if, there was a way to connect with them. So once I replaced my computer, I started a Facebook group, and this was about 10 years ago. And the Facebook group grew. And a couple years in, our travelers were asking if we could travel together. So I put our first tour together to Bali, and we had 17 women come on that trip, and it was awesome. And that's it, just kept doing it. I did another Bali one, and then we added South Africa, and then we just kind of I started adding destinations, and here we are 8 years later, and this is what we do.
And this is what you do. Is this what you do full time now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. What were you doing before?
Oh, well, I was a expat in Australia, struggling to get any job I could get. I was working like part-time, under minimum wage, under the table, very like it was tough. So it's hard to get hired in that position. So that's what I was doing, but I did have a lot of experience in did work for a volunteerism company, and I did have a lot of different types of experiences. I worked in the wine industry for a long time. I did a lot of different things. So it was sort of like, what my mom always was, she was always worried that I'd never found my calling. Like I was just sort of going from job to thing, getting bored, moving on. And I knew that she was always proud of me, but I knew she wanted something steadier for me. And, I look back, and all of that experience was really how I was able to do this, how I was able to start this. And now I've been with it for 8 years. So,
Yeah, it's like in the heat of the moment, it might not make sense as to why you are wanting to do all those things. And
mhm.
then it all comes together, and you're like, all those experiences come together and make this real for you. It all adds up to something, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
think this was so beautiful. Do you have, where are you now?
I live a couple years ago. I sort of settled down finally. And I live in San Diego.
Okay, nice. Great place to settle. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And you, I sensed a little reluctance in the settling part. Is that just because by nature, but you still travel everywhere, but by nature, you're more of a child of the world than anything, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a tough it's a tough balance because I traveled and lived abroad for almost 10 years. And so I I actually during the pandemic, I kind of took our family dog. And so it forced me to have to, she can't go anywhere I want to go. So it forced me to sort of settle down, but also to be honest, that lifestyle is amazing, but it doesn't help you grow things long term. It doesn't build you like a real permanent, long lasting community in person. And it doesn't allow you to, like get to know your neighbors or those kind of things. So, yeah, I made the choice to semi settle down. And yes, I travel a lot. And oftentimes I'm just like, what am I doing here? But then I go to the beach and I snap myself out of it. So,
Well, you have that luxury.
yeah.
I think that's amazing. Tell me about this TED Talk. How did you, what and how? Because Public speaking, I have learned from a lot of people. I also enjoy public speaking, but public speaking, did you know, is like people's still number one fear? Don't know why, but it still is. Uh, and here you are, just like, I'm going to be a TEDx speaker. How did that happen?
Um, it happened because I just sort of met the right people. Here in San Diego, um, there's a lot of really great business owners and communities and things. And I just happened to get involved in one that had, some previous San Diego TEDx speakers. And one of them, she and I just really, really bonded. We're still buddies, and she recommended me. And it is a tough process. But I did get chosen in the end. And so I did it. And to be honest, that was really my first public speaking engagement. I did like one other thing with like a I don't know, like 50, I don't know. It wasn't a big event, but that I did that one. And then TEDx, and yeah.
That's
So it,
amazing. That's insanity for that to be like your first one, which I love. I'm all about taking big leaps. I think I've been that way my whole life, but it's gotten worse, of course, after losing my mom. She's
right,
not here to tell me to stop
right.
now.
Yeah. And it's just like, what else could I lose? Like what
No,
else?
isn't that the worst part and the best part
Yeah.
is when you go through I don't think people can understand what you go through when you lose that type of person. And how it really does change you fundamentally. And
Hmm.
the way that you approach life, the way that you approach friendships, the way that you approach conversations, nothing can be small anymore. Literally nothing can be meaningless anymore. And that small talk, what is that? Like it can't be that way anymore. And it's all about that deep connection. That was something I heard in your TED talk about the connections that you make in 48 hours with these
Hmm.
women. How is there a process you do, or is it just who you are?
Yes.
Yes, and yes.
um, so, I don't bring this up a lot in podcasts because it doesn't usually kind of come up, but I do think though, you'll understand this, when you lose your person this way, as you said, everything like the stakes are higher. And that's for me, that was really true with the people that I met. It was no longer like a lot of casual interactions, a lot of casual friendships because and honestly, I think to an extent, I will always be searching for something that is as close to my bond with my mom as possible. And I know that I'm never going to find it. You can't replace that. But the friendships that sort of like ebb and die, and the small talk, and the let's just meet for coffee and then you never see them again. Those things, I just it's of course they still happen, but I'm always on the search for my people, the people who I find engaging and interesting and exciting and kind and proactive and honest and all the things, right? So I think that has a big hand in these tours that I create because, I can't promise that if you come on a tour that you're going to meet your new best friend. It happens all the time, but I can't promise that. But what I do know is that when we do a lot of work to try to set the stage for people to come, and small talk will happen. It's an important part of meeting people, right? But we try to get people past that faster. So yes, there are some things that we do, and it's less about what we do and it's more about how we train our team and the expectations that we set for our travelers before they even like get on the plane. And then when you're doing these things, like the way that we plan the itinerary, none of it's really by accident. The day by day and the pace of a day, we want to like give you this big wow moment in a day, but then leave some time for you to kind of like decompress about it with each other over really good food and maybe a drink and a pretty view. Like that's an epic day for us because that will bond people
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah. That's a great framework, and it's exactly right. It's the fact that you now know that the only real valuable thing you have is the time that you spend, and you have to choose to spend it wisely. Literally everything. You can't, it's the one thing you can't get back.
Mhm.
Inevitably, we'll all pass, but that's the point. You have to be very mindful about how you choose to spend your time, and who wants to spend it being fake. Like I have no patience for it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't. And
Yeah.
the thing is, when you put that vibe out, you meet people that want to
Right.
get the same out of life. Out of curiosity, when you were growing up, what was your childhood like? Because you're very, very traveled, but you've also to live abroad for so long. And to do that, I feel like you must have had a very different upbringing.
I mean, I don't know how different it was. The one thing that was different is that we did move a lot. We moved like every 2 to 3 years during when I was a kid, and then we moved to Ohio for when I was in high school. And so I went to high school and college in Ohio, but then I immediately like moved. So aside from that part of my life, we were moving all the time. So, but I had parents who, I always knew that I wanted to travel and I talked to them about it. I said when I was like 12 or something, I know that I'm going to live in another country and speak a different language when I'm older. I know it. I don't know why I knew that. I had never been anywhere, but I just like knew it in my bones. And when I would talk about travel with my parents, they would say, "Oh yeah, for sure. When you graduate college, maybe you can go to Europe for 10 days. Or if not, when you retire, you can do your 10-day trip to Europe." That was sort of their idea of international travel. They just aren't big or like cruises, right? We did some cruises like as a family. But I think though, I my parents had very kind of traditional roles. My dad worked and always came home after work, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and they were very, very sweet, very kind, very deep people. And when we were moving, it forced us to become closer because none of us had anybody from place to place that we moved. So yeah, I think the constant moving, whereas like with my brother, he stayed in Ohio as soon as he became old enough to make these decisions for himself, and he's probably not going to leave. But I keep moving. It's just sort of, I don't know. I don't know how it affected us so differently, but yeah, that's kind of how I was brought up.
Siblings, it's a weird psychological thing. You can be raised in the same household with the exact same parents under the exact same roof and have very different childhoods. It
Mhm.
is crazy how that works out. Um, I get that. I'm like you. I don't want to call it flighty. Some people used to call me that. Not that way. Just I do think the world is a lot bigger and small at the same time, and we have a lot more in common. And like you, that's what this podcast is for. It's to bridge that community because we're not really alone. And when you start to put those feelers out, you find each other, and it's a lot bigger than one would think. And it doesn't matter where you grew up. The fact is, it's a soul tribe at the end of it all. What are
Mhm.
you hoping to for non-flighty people? What are you hoping for for all of this? What would be your idea of at the end of it all? You can put I heard it once put like stamp your life. Like if you put an authoritative stamp on your life to say, "Yep, I'm done. I did a good job." What would that look like for you?
It's interesting that you asked this question because, if you had asked me maybe 5 years ago or so, I would have said to grow Sophie to be bigger than insert whatever massive travel company you want, to be like the resource for solo female travelers. And of course, I wouldn't say no to that. But but I think though it's changed though. I just I know that being a woman can be hard, and it can be, if you've gone through the kind of grief that we've gone through, it can be really isolating. It can be isolating even if you haven't. And as we get older, I'm very passionate about the idea that we as women are finally in a position where we can do whatever we want. We can get married. We cannot get married. We can have a career. We cannot really have a career. We can have kids. We can like we can do whatever we want. And a lot of us are choosing to not go through that traditional path that even our mothers kind of not made, they had to, even my mom's generation, it was teacher, nurse, or secretary. Those were the career options. So we're finally at a stage where we can do whatever we want. But I think what hasn't really caught up to our lifestyle is the way that we treat connections with each other. Like we still tend, because this is how we were raised, we still tend to idealize and prioritize the romantic relationships above friendships a lot of the time. We
Yes.
tend to, right? We
So
tend
glad you
to,
said that. It's ridiculous.
I know. We tend to we tend to, at some point, a lot of us stop putting our whole heart into the people that we meet. And sure, we've been burned, I guess. I don't know. But remember when we were in our 20s and it was just like, okay, you're my bestie. Let's go have it. Like, let's go to the bar or whatever. Like, I don't know why we stopped doing that exactly, but I also know that we have to stop. We have to really, like, we're all going to continuously feel isolated and sometimes lonely if we don't start treating our non-romantic relationships with a little bit more seriousness and intention.
Mhm.
So anyway, well, all that to say, I
I
these
loved all those words.
these tour, like whether it's through these tours, whether it's, I don't know, through something else I do in the future, I would just love to help women feel more connected. I mean, in whatever way I can do that.
Completely agree. You and I are on the same mission,
Uh,
coming at it from multiple angles. And what gives me hope is that there's more of us out there coming at this from as many angles as we can, because I ultimately believe that women always do at their heart and their core want to be communal. And the decentralization of men is important. It's not saying men aren't important. It just means you're not the center of our universe.
yeah.
We are the center of our own universe, and they can exist there too. We can all equally exist in footing, but the only way to do that at this moment in time, to your point, is that community of women. I could
Mhm.
not agree more. I have the same thought. That's the stamp for me at the end of my life as
I
well,
love it.
to
I love
have that
it.
community built so that people can feel less alone. The thing about it is, psychologically speaking, the reason people like you and me go after stuff like this is because we have felt that depth. Have you ever heard that? Like, you can only behave on the polars, right? So as lonely as you've ever felt is just how connected you can allow people to feel. As happy as you ever can feel equals the depth of the sorrow that you've experienced. Hate to say it, but that's what makes it so also beautiful. There's the silver lining for you, in case you didn't have it before, to add a little more sweet to the bitter. Uh,
I totally agree. And I say that a similar thing all the time. So I love that we are already there with each other.
Same wavelength.
Mhm.
So I know I'm a butthead and showed up late, but in the interest of time, I end every episode the same. And I know, as almost all these episodes go, it's all advice. But if you could give one piece of advice, maybe it's a phrase that you live by, maybe it's a saying or a quote you have hanging on your wall. What is that piece of advice that you think the listeners can use or would need to hear right now?
I'm going to give a bit of very practical advice based on what we've talked about today. But I just want to encourage anyone, if you are feel like you're looking for your people, like you're looking for your girls, like your inner circle, it is okay to be the one to make the first move. It's okay to be the one who sounds not too much, but a little bit like, I don't know, like, be the one who says, "I like you and I think we could be friends. Do you wanna go out? Do you wanna go hang out?" Like, or go pick something fun and random to do that you've always wanted to try with somebody. Like, just do it. Just like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? And because 99 out of 100 times, if that person doesn't meet you with the same enthusiasm, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about their fears, their issues, their time, their capacity. It has nothing to do with you. Everybody wants to feel chosen. Everyone wants to be approached. Everyone wants connection. So just go for it.
I love that advice. Make the first move.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I think that fear of rejection creeps in, but to your point, you have nothing to lose. If they're your people, they'll say yes with the same enthusiasm. If they're not, you just saved yourself a whole load of heartache. It's okay.
Exactly.
Amanda, thank you. Truly, this conversation is one I'm going to be thinking about for a long time, and I know our listeners will too. If today resonated with you, please reach out to Amanda and check out Sophie, her community for solo female travelers. You can find all her details in the show notes. And honestly, if you've been thinking about taking that trip or going somewhere new, doing something brave, go look at what she's built. It might just be exactly what you've been waiting for. And the piece of advice I want you to carry out of this episode: make the first move. With a trip, with a friendship, with a life you keep putting off, because the worst that can happen is a no. And that has nothing to do with you. If this episode moved you, share it. Send it to a woman in your life who's looking for her people, who is ready for something more, who needs someone to tell her it's okay to go first. Leave us a review, spread the word. It means everything. Remember, your life is your story to tell. Why not make it extraordinary? Until next time, I'm Dahlia. Thanks for being here.